Hi, my name is Newton, and this is my pre-work video for the for the CodePath National Tech Fellow Program for Spring 2026. So in this video, I'll go over the three prompts and how I would tackle them as a tech fellow. So the first prompt, a student asks for help on a coding question that I don't know the answer to. The goal here is not to just give the student the answer or to just give them a hint, but it's to really help the student get unstuck. We'll teach the student how to get unstuck and and how to consistently practice and really leverage their network and their resources in a productive way. So resources like cheat sheets, documentation, AI, Google, I would definitely stress to them the importance of using these resources to not focus on the answer at the end or the solution, but how is the concept that the problem revolves around, how is it used to solve the problem? And I would tell the student that they could consider themselves unstuck once they're able to take that concept, like learn how it was applied on this problem, and solve a similar problem with it on their own. So, in that, I would heavily encourage consistent practice. Tackle similar problems to the ones that you were stuck on. Are you able to handle them without needing to refer to cheat sheets or AI? And in the spirit of practice, I would highly encourage them to engage with their peers because it's really a great way to consistently practice and to keep yourself motivated to learn is to meet other people who are learning. So, as members of CodePath, I would highly recommend that they really take advantage of the connections and the resources that they have as part of this program. Now let's move to the second prompt. For this prompt, I will choose the second scenario. A student is alone in a breakout room. They report feeling discouraged with their progress and they want to work alone because they feel they can't contribute meaningfully in a group. As a tech fellow, I would definitely speak to the student. I could talk a lot about imposter syndrome, but I would definitely condense it. I would let them know that we're all learning as part of CodePath, every student, and honestly, the tech fellows as well. We're all learning and we're all willing to support them in their journey to learn. They're not alone in learning, and they're certainly not alone in feeling that they're unable to contribute. But I would also speak to them about maybe thinking about it a different way. If they're worried about their ability to contribute through like solving complex problems, maybe they can contribute as an observer. They can observe how other students use their knowledge of Python and other provided tools to tackle these challenging problems, and how they communicate their ideas in the context of an interview. That would be a really great learning experience, and they can like report to the other students as an interviewer. But if the student wishes to continue working alone, I would consider escalating this to the instructional program manager. So, real quick, I would introduce myself, explain the situation and what I have tried to do to help it, and what is the current situation. So, I am a tech fellow for the TIP 102 course. A student wants to work alone because they feel unable to contribute meaningfully in a group. I spoke to this student about not being alone or not being alone in their learning journey, as well as other ways to contribute as an observer and interviewer, but they still want to work alone. How should we proceed? So that is how I would escalate the situation to an instructional program manager. Now let's move on to the third prompt. I'm teaching a student in study hall how to use the binary search algorithm to find an item in a sorted array. So I would definitely, it depends on how well the student understands the binary search algorithm. If the student doesn't understand it at all, I could try breaking down the concept in a simple game. I'm guessing a number from 1 to 10. You need to guess what that number is, and each time you make a guess, I'll let you know if the number is higher or lower. So after a few guesses, I'll ask the student, like, what number would you guess consistently to get to be as consistent as possible with the number of with like lowering the number of guesses that you make. And I would explain that the best way to consistently remove the largest number of numbers is to constantly guess in the middle every time, and that this is what the binary search algorithm does. So now perhaps we could move to an IDE to start looking about how we would implement this in text. So let's think about some important variables to keep track of. We definitely want to keep track of the left boundary, since this is the boundary that would move inwards every time we guess. If the user guesses and it's and the target is higher, then we know that the middle number and every number less than it can be removed. So we definitely keep track of the left boundary, and similarly we'd keep track of the right boundary. Now, since we're constantly guessing in the middle, we would want to keep track of our guess, and what this guess is the middle. So we're going to use a variable to keep track of the middle of the left and right boundaries. So how would we start implementing this? Let's try looking into it through pseudocode. The student needs to guess until they correctly guess my number, or until they guess every number in the array and they still don't get the number. So because it's a loop with uncertain ending conditions, it would best be implemented using a while loop. There's definitely a way to implement it with a for loop as well, but typically binary search algorithms are implemented with while loops. So let's get into the loop. For what do they do for each part of the loop? Well, they need to make a guess. In this case, we're guessing the middle. So let's keep track of the middle. We want to set the middle to the middle of the left and right boundaries. After they guess, this is where we compare the guess with the target. So is it higher, lower, or is it equal? So if it's equal, it seems like we found our answer. So in this case, we would return. If it's lower or higher, what numbers would we remove? Here, I would also stress that since the array is sorted, that gives them information about every number to the left of a number and every number to the right of a number as well. And now, once we exit the loop, that means we searched every single number possible, and we still didn't find the number. So what should happen now? From the problem statement, it says that we should return -1. And after explaining it with the student, I would check with them, make sure they understand the concept, and I would leave it to them to implement this and turn these instructions into code, into a script. Thank you very much, and that will be it for this video.